In this session, I will be giving you an overview of Microsoft Project Expenses and Inventory System. This software is used in construction businesses to monitor their expenses as well as the cost of materials used in the project. Further, it is also able to keep track of our payables to our suppliers and as well as process payments to our suppliers. So I will double click the application now, and we have our user account. So the user account that we have is master admin, and I will click login. So we have here the reminder to make sure that the date of our system is correct. So we have here the menu. If we want to set up the data of our uh, application, we have here the files wherein we can store suppliers. The reason that we store suppliers is that once we uh, receive stocks from them, we can determine where the stocks came from, and more importantly, the supplier's record will allow us to monitor the outstanding balance that we have to them when we receive when we receive the stocks, or when we engage in a transaction which is on credit. We have also the materials. This will be used to be uh, received from our suppliers, or we stock out the materials, or we return the materials. This record will allow us to monitor the cost of materials of the project that we have. And of course, we have here the projects, and we have here also the banks. Banks is useful when we pay our suppliers, and what bank specifically we use when we pay check. We have here the received stocks. We have the interface here right away. When we receive stocks, we can see the date range, wherein if we click go, the data will be displayed here, and we can edit the data individually or the receipt itself. Same also when we void the individual data or the receipt itself, or we can add item to the receipt, because what will be displayed here is the details of the received stocks, which means that if in our received stocks we have that the receipt contains 5 items, then the 5 items will be displayed here with its corresponding quantity. And if we are going to create a new transaction for received stocks, we can click new stocks here, and then we select the supplier, and then we view the items here, select the items, and then input quantity, and it will be listed here, as well as the cost and the amount, so that we can calculate how much stock uh, in terms of amount we receive. And once we've done the listing here, we can click receive. We have also stock out materials. Once we deliver it or deliver the materials to our project, then we use stock out materials, wherein the same pattern with receipt stocks. We have here the date range, wherein if we want to view the transaction that we have, and same concept with the receipt materials, we can edit void uh, the we can also edit the receipt, as well as void the receipt and add item to the receipt. And if we are going to stock out a new stock, then or we are going to do a new stock out, then we are going to click this. We select project where we deliver our materials, and then when we click view, the materials will be displayed here. Once we search and select it will be listed here once we input the quantity, and we can do the stock out button. Return materials also is used when we the materials is not, or the materials are not consumed in the project. There are remaining materials in there, so we are going to pull it out and put back to our warehouse, so we need these return materials. We have here payables. This is where we keep track of our suppliers balances to them, and if we are going to view this, so we have here the sample list of supplier, and we have their credit line, the available credit based on the outstanding balance that we have. And if we want to pay the this balance, we can click statements and we search the receipt, and then after inputting the amount that we are going to pay, then it will be listed here, and then we can process the payment. And we have here, if we want to review the payments that we have, if we want to edit, then we can search with the date range and can click go, and it will be displayed here. And same with the other transaction, we can edit the payment. If we mistakenly input the amount, we can void it. And also the receipt, we can edit, void the receipt, or add item to the receipt. Another is our expenses. This is uh, where we store, or where we record our expenses, like the amount, the salary of our people, or the workers, the transportation expenses, if we have the electricity, other expenses aside from the materials that we have. So the same pattern with the other transaction, wherein we have here the date range, and then click go, and the records will be listed here, and we can edit the receipt, void the receipt, or add item to the receipt. If we are going to process new expenses, we click new transaction, and we can select uh, the project where the uh, expense occurred. And then in here, click view, wherein you can view the listing of expenses that we have already. If it does not exist, then we can click new, and then after selecting, we input the amount of the expense, and then it will be listed here, and we can process the payment. And we have here the reports, wherein we can see the received stocks, uh, the stock out materials, the return materials, the supplier payments, the expenses, and we have here also the profit and loss, wherein we can see uh, our listing of our projects, its corresponding project cost or construction cost, and the actual uh, expenses in terms of cost of materials, and the expenses aside from it, uh, the aside from it, which we inputted on our expenses transaction. And in here, we have here the users, wherein we can add user accounts, user logs, also the in and out, and we have here also the access rights, where we can customize the features that we want this particular user to access. And if we're going to exit, we will log out. So that's for the overview of the system. Thank you.